Welcome to our FBA Legends. We're gonna be talking about launch strategy, and make sure you write your questions down. We'll try to answer your questions as we go along too, but we'll mainly focus on the points we have. And as we progress, if you have questions that we might have missed during this live show, then ask at the end too. And I actually wanted to thank you guys we reached, I believe, 50 subscribers on our YouTube channel.
Yes.
Not a huge amount, but it's
big for us.
We're nice. Growing. It's growing, so thank you guys. And if you can subscribe, like this video as well, it'll really help us grow our channel too.
Exactly.
So let's just dive right into it. So you're at the point that you got your products and you have them maybe on the way, or you're maybe just still talking to a supplier, or maybe you're still researching products. And one thing that you need to keep in mind is how to launch properly, how to have the right launch strategy so you obviously have a successful launch with your product. And we have the list, actually, we have a lot of highs there. So we have a list of what we think is the best idea. Now, we're not gonna say this is the only way to do it. We're not saying you must follow this, otherwise you'll fail. This is our strategy. This is what we're gonna do when our product arrives mid-July, and for the most part, so far, we've only heard good feedback from everyone we talked to. And on a side note, I just came back from Montreal, and we had a meetup there with Semer and Tom Wang. We're gonna link their YouTube channels in this description below as well. But a lot of questions that I've been receiving there, and I was actually just participating in the meetup, but I got a lot of questions back, is about, in general, branding, and then the keywords research and how important everything is. And I think this video is going to cover most of those questions, so stay tuned.
But before we get into that, I just wanted to say thank you so much. We have over 550 group members now, and we just want to, we're doing this, the reason for that we're doing this group is just so that we can provide so much value and so much information to you as we're going through the same process. We're being completely transparent with you. Every step that we take, we share with you. We're gonna be showing results. Everything is just for you guys and for your benefit. We're just trying to pump out so much value so you guys can get started on this journey just like we're doing.
Yeah, so I mean, we're gonna provide you free content right now. And this is, I don't think I've seen many YouTube videos or many channels out there on Facebook that will provide this kind of content for free, especially, where it shows you literally from beginning to end the journey that they're working on. And we're trying to really cover all grounds. We might be missing a few things.
We're still kind of learning too.
We're still learning too, and if we make mistakes, then you get to see them and avoid them. And we try to cover all grounds as we go along. And as you see the list, it still says in progress, so that means that we're continuously revising it, and it's available for you at all times. So, oh, hello there.
Hi from Minnesota. Hello.
So let's get started. So if you have the list that we created, the launch strategy list, you might want to pull it up so you can follow along, but we're going to cover each point there, and we're going to be really thorough about it so you understand. So the first point here is optimize the listings keywords. So once you set up the listing, one thing you got to understand is that just having the listing with nice pictures and so on is not enough. You got to make sure that you do your due diligence to increase the ranking, increase the keywords, just in general do proper data analysis of what keywords are best for your listing. And the way to do it is from your seller dashboard. If you go to the edit button of your listing, you will see that there's many different areas for the description, title, and the backing keywords. And we actually did a very good video with one of the owners of WordTree. We have a link in our launch strategy guide in the Google Drive link. So click on that to watch that video. He's going really thoroughly how to use WordTree, so it'll help you if you do decide to go ahead with it. We actually use it for ourselves, and I believe you actually can see a score that tells you how your listing is doing. So you can import all your data from Amazon automatically by clicking one button, and it will fill in all the titles, all the descriptions everywhere, and then you just start modifying things, and it's actually really cool because you visually see how you're doing. And we went from a 60% rate to 92% rate, and now we know that we have pretty much all the keywords that we need to hopefully rank higher. And one of the main notes, or one of the comments that I received from my mentor and some of the meetups that I went to, is you want to start focusing on one keyword. Have all the keywords obviously built, but focus on getting one keyword at the top page, one at a time. So get one to the top and then focus on the next one, then the next one. As the more you cover, the more ground you cover, the better, obviously, because then you make more sales. Let's move on to the next point. Photos.
Photos. So this is pertaining to your photos that you actually have on your listing. And this is so important because humans are just very, very visual. They want to see nice things. So when you're doing your photos and deciding what photos to use, you want to take a look at it from the shoes of the consumer. Would you click on this ad if you were looking for this product? So your first photo needs to be on a white background. It needs to be really clean, crisp, just a really, really good product photo. And if you can't do this yourself or you don't have the tools to do it yourself, then by all means you should probably get someone to do that for you because this is very, very important. In addition, the other photos that you put on the listing you should pretty much cover your bases. How many photos should you have essentially?
The more Amazon allows you to throw in there, I believe the first is between 6 and 12. Yeah. So the first photo you want to make sure is the clear white background with just the product. The more clean it is, the more it looks better than your competitor, obviously the better. You want to look at it in a way of, if you're the consumer, if you're that customer looking for that item, would you click on your ad or would you click on your competitor's ad? So do whatever it takes to make sure you, first of all, will click on your own ad. And you know when it's good and when it's bad. Now, I see some questions coming in that we'll try to address at the end about once you do PPCs and so on. That's actually one of the last points, so we'll definitely cover that, so don't worry. Hello, Florida. Sarah, how you doing? So, the next point here is building an audience. So, I'll let you actually cover that because that's your area.
So, building an audience is very, very important. People do it or don't do it, but I'd say definitely do it. Your goal is to build a brand. So, you have your private label, created your brand, and this is really, really important because people will remember you and your product by this brand and your logo essentially. So
let me just add one thing to that because you reminded me about the brand. In the meetup we actually talked about this and a lot of people brought that up. When you create a private label product, what you need to think about is how do you differentiate your product from the rest of the market? What actually happened for Google a long time ago, you noticed, just an example, many websites started to replicate content from other websites and everyone tried to rank first. Now back in the 90s or maybe early 2000s, that was something that was okay and you were ranking higher, but Google got smarter and it started to kick websites out if they had duplicate content. So now if you take it to Amazon now, Amazon is the same way now. They realize that if everyone has the same exact product and everyone's trying to rank higher, then the customer experience is really not great. Now, if you come up with a product that might be really cool and something different that clearly differentiates from your competition, now Amazon will be like, hey, you know what? This is something new. Let's put them higher because the customer experience will be better. So you need to understand that private label might not be here for a long time. You need to always differentiate. You always want to be on top. I hope that makes sense. But back to you.
Perfect. So you should use social media for building an audience because social media is huge right now. Whether it's Instagram or Facebook or whatever that you choose to do. I'd say Instagram probably because I'm very familiar with that platform. So get your brand on Instagram, get a following on there. That way you will kind of understand the difference between the owning and the borrowing the traffic. And what that means is, I'll let you cover that.
So whenever you go to Amazon, Amazon already has a lot of traffic. Okay, so when you go to them and you post your listing, you're actually just borrowing their traffic so you get those purchases made with those customers. Now, if you wanted to send out a message to say 1,000 of your customers, you can't really do that because Amazon doesn't let you have their email or their address and so on. Or you actually see their address, but you're not gonna mail out 1,000 letters or so on, right?
100%.
So by owning is if you have your own email list, if you have your own website, if you have your own followers, like Teresa, she has a lot of followers on Instagram. If she posts a photo, every one of her followers will see it. Whereas on Amazon, if she posts a photo, she will only get Amazon's traffic to see it. I hope that makes sense, the difference. Now guys, I see you asking quite a lot of questions on our live chat here. We're not ignoring you, we're gonna answer all of them at the end. Just make sure you save those questions and ask them again if we missed them. But I see some of the questions here asking about should you promote your product on YouTube or blog, or reach out to blogger reviews to promote the product idea? Yeah, definitely. If you can get some promoter to put your item up and you give them the product for free, you're leveraging such a big audience for a cost of one product. So it's definitely a great idea. And that's part of actually building an audience and reaching out to influencers. We did actually cover that in another video that Teresa did.
We did a vlog, and we'll link it, I guess, in this video as well. So you should go watch that. We cover how to approach influencers and essentially just the influence marketing 101. And I also have a guide that I'm in the process of writing that I will put on our Google Drive as well. So that'll be extremely helpful to cross-reference between the two.
Okay, so let's just quickly summarize for building an audience. You want to build an email list. So whether it's on your website or whichever way, like maybe a drip campaign, ClickFunnels, whichever way you do it, we recommend using MailChimp to capture those emails. We have a link in our document too, so if you want to use that link, you'll get some credit for using that link too. Create an incentive to get those emails. So whichever way, whether it's 10% off, 20%, or you send them an item or whatever it is, get that email, because once you have an email from the customers, now you're owning those customers for the long term. Okay, the other way is get followers on Instagram, social media. Build that followers list, because again, you message one time about a new product launch and all those followers will see it and hopefully will jump on buying the item.
Exactly, and a lot of people on Instagram, if they follow you and they like your brand, they're going to be super loyal to your brand and to you, and that's exactly what you want. You want to have repeat customers, because you're going to essentially, while you're doing this, you're going to keep coming out with new products and expanding your business, and you want them to be there from beginning to end.
Exactly. So the next point here is we have create a Shopify store or a separate website in general. So the idea here is very simple. We wanna diversify from Amazon. So if, for example, Amazon shuts down tomorrow, we still have a running business from a second source. So in this case, what we'll be doing is we'll create a second website where we'll have our products just the same way. We will sell directly, whether we get payments through PayPal or other methods. But the idea here is that our sales will not only be dependent on Amazon, okay? There is a great way to use Shopify. If you don't know how to code and you want to use a theme, create a Shopify website, build it your own way, theme and whatnot, set up your items. And what's great about that, and that kind of leads me to the next point, is you can actually do pre-orders. And what that means is that even before you got your items in Amazon's warehouse, or before the items are even manufactured, let's just say you somehow managed to get pictures or whatnot, you can actually start collecting pre-orders. If you do have the item in your hand as a sample, you can start taking photos of that, obviously. Then you can use that for pre-order purposes too. And what I mean by pre-orders is you get friends, family, potential followers, or whatever it is, to buy the product knowing that they're not gonna get it anytime soon until it's launched. And that way you're kind of allowing yourself to get some money back right away, so most of your investment back. You get to test the market before you even launched, and hopefully use some of that money for whether it's PPC, maybe Facebook ads, or maybe even get another batch made for your next order, right? So you're kind of like killing two birds in one stone.
Exactly, because once you launch your product, you should already be thinking about buying your next batch, just so you don't run out.
Yeah, and this is probably the greatest way to test the market, and you have the traffic that you own now, right? You have the followers, the websites, and the email list. You can test if they actually like your product, right? So maybe if you haven't actually shipped out the products yet, and you've only spent 30% deposit to your supplier, and you realize that nobody is even noticing your item, I mean, don't be discouraged. That might be just the way you set up your listing and so on, or maybe it's the way you promoted that pre-order, but that can give you a good indication how things are going. And then for those that want to do Shopify, you might be able to actually connect FBA to it with a plugin. So what you could do is, it's kind of like drop shipping, but FBA will actually ship it out for you the same way. So that's another great way of hands-off automatic system. All right, next point here, I'll let you cover that. Collect reviews.
Right, so collecting reviews is very, very crucial. 10 is the magical number of reviews. So that is your goal, get 10 reviews. There's just a weird thing between 9 and 10 reviews. When consumers are gonna buy your product, they're gonna look for something that has over 10 reviews, probably because it's just, you know, it's more than a single digit. So I know it's a little bit weird, but get 10 reviews and you should be good.
Yeah, and then make sure that you are not just pushing reviews from family and friends right away, because you don't wanna have all of a sudden a spike in reviews and then nothing for the next couple of days, because Amazon is not stupid. They know that you've probably done that, and you're gonna get those reviews either removed or unverified, and it's not really helping your listing.
It could even damage your seller's account in the future.
You can get suspended.
You do not want that.
Exactly.
One bit.
So the question that I got a lot in the meetup that I was just at is, can you get friends and family to actually do it, especially if you're outside of the US? The answer is yes. You just have to go to your seller's account and set up international shipping for your listing. And of course, if it's allowed to be shipped internationally, then there shouldn't be a problem. Just be careful who you ask to leave a review between family and friends, and make sure that you don't do it all in one single day, or just spread it out. Make sure you're careful about it. If you were the Amazon person watching your account, would you suspect anything? Essentially, just look at it that way.
Now make sure you're not friends on Facebook with any person that you really ask to leave a review, because at the time maybe you can add them back later, but just for the main portion of when they review and a bit time after, just ensure that you guys aren't friends.
Yeah, and I mean, guys, this is just our suggestions, and this is the way we're gonna do it. We're not saying this is the right way or the best way or whatever it is, and this is up to you to do the diligence and make sure you're carefully researching it, because we don't want your account to get suspended or whatever the case is. I haven't really necessarily heard anyone getting suspended or big things happen if you do it carefully the way we just said.
Yeah.
But that being said, Amazon did just go through a major cleanup, I think it was 2-3 weeks ago. So a lot of people lost a lot of reviews just because, I don't know what the reasons exactly were, but for the most part, people had a lot of shady ways to get reviews. And I would suspect that a lot of people that got the reviews removed were because they did it unauthentically. They didn't actually get sales, they got friends to buy it.
Perfect. So use this method at your own risk, essentially.
Alrighty, so next point here is PPC and Facebook ads. So that's applying to some of the questions that we had at the beginning. We heard a mix of opinions about PPCs. We personally are planning to do them because we have the budget and we think it's going to help our listing. But at the same time, it's not going to kill you or your listing if you don't do them right away. I would say it's more important to focus on the first point that we talked about rather than just jump on PPC right away. If you're solely relying that PPC is gonna like make you the sales, then you're probably wrong. Make sure you optimize your listing, you have good photos, get the initial 10 reviews, do the giveaways, do everything you can outside of PPC, and then focus on PPC. That's just our word of advice here.
Make sure you're covering all your bases.
Yeah, now for Facebook ads, again, same idea as PPC, it's just a different platform, but I personally think Facebook ads are great. Especially if it's very visual, you can target people, retarget them again and again. And if you do set up the second website we talked about, then you can actually retarget them from the website too. Great way to make extra sales. You have to know what you're doing, of course, so do your research on that. There's definitely a learning curve, I'm not gonna lie on that one. Okay, so I think we're gonna get to the questions now. So guys, feel free to start shooting the questions if we've missed them or we haven't answered them in the beginning. So we have here Reno. He's asking me, I'm about to ask my supplier to send me a picture of the samples before sending it to me so I can analyze it. What else should I ask them? So you're sending the samples, pictures. Well, obviously you want to actually...
the supplier to send him pictures of the samples.
Yeah, well, you definitely want to have the pictures before anything. Once you have the pictures and you're somewhat happy with it, you actually want to get the sample in your hands. You want to feel it, touch it, look at it, because you'll be surprised how when you look at a photo and when you actually have it in your hands, it's two different things.
Yeah, so just be really, really clear about what exactly you want. Even if the picture looks perfect, just ensure that you're asking them kind of in a few different ways the same things that you've already asked them before you even got the sample, because it's really easy for things to get lost in translation. So just make sure that you guys are both on the exact same page before they get the samples sent out, because you are paying for those most likely. So
I'm sorry if I'm gonna pronounce this name wrong. Tigist? I think that's the way to say it. But anyways, the question is, some people say that's small and check the market for your product first, and some say no, you should sell what sellers on the first page are selling and you don't want to run out of inventory. So what's the route would you take? So we actually have a beginner's list that we did, checklist. If you look at it, it's pinned to the top of our Facebook group. But just really quickly to recap it, you don't want to just look at what everyone sells on the first page. You want to actually analyze the data correctly. So we personally use Viral Launch to see the numbers. So whenever we do have a product that we like, we'll use Viral Launch to see all the numbers, how many they're selling a day, how many reviews they have, in general how many sales, revenue they have, and so on. There's a lot of data you have to analyze, And only when we are 100% of the numbers are great and that's what we want, and it's not too crazy competitive, then we're gonna start on, like, putting it on the list that okay, this is an item we'll consider. And then once we have 3-4 items, maybe even more sometimes if you have time, then we'll start like really narrowing those items down until we have the perfect one item, and then we'll start really researching that. And only when we've researched that one item 100% and we're both confident this is the way to go, that's when we went ahead with that item.
Yeah. And we didn't start small. We actually started with quite a few units. We are pretty confident, at least I'd say, with our product. So we didn't start with like 100 or 200 units. I feel like if you do that, you will most likely sell out very, very fast, and you're gonna have to fight to get, when you have more stock, to get to your listing back to the first page, because it will have dropped if you guys sold out of your inventory. That's a very important point, And in the meetup, again, in Montreal, I've been asked that question. I want to order 200, 300 units, and right away my first reaction is like, why so little? Like, do you not believe in your own item? If you don't think it's gonna make it, then you probably either pick the wrong item or the budget's not enough. If your item is very expensive and that's the reason, then you better make sure you have a really, really strong launch strategy to make sure you sell all those products. Because if it's expensive, you can't do giveaways, and if you don't have a lot of units and you do start selling, then you're gonna run out quickly. The way I look at it is, if you only bought 500 units and you do a proper giveaway, and let's say you did your research and your competitors are selling 20 a day, then you have to give 20 units a day for the next 8 days, for example. It's gonna be like,
that's 160 units right there.
Third to half of your units that you're just giving away, so it's gonna be really hard for you to actually make money.
Now let's say you're actually doing well and your product sells, you're gonna run out very quickly, let's say 2-3 weeks. And if you don't order more, or let's say you do order more, it's gonna take you 25 to 30 days to receive the next batch.
So you're gonna run out regardless.
So you're gonna run out in either way, and you're gonna be sitting for the next month waiting for the next batch, and the momentum is lost. Okay. Next one, Sarah here. We have good quality products are costing more on Alibaba, but profit margins will be low. Shall we follow the crowd or stand with quality products? I mean, you need to answer your own question here. Like, if you have a good quality product and you know it's gonna be better than the competitors,
and then you've done all your research and everything, and the numbers are good, then
I mean, would you rather sell volume and bank on the low profit but a lot more of it, or would you rather sell a worse condition or worse quality item for more price? So it's really coming up to what kind of brand do you want to establish here. Personally, I would say I'd rather have a higher end product for a pricier rate, maybe get fewer sales, but my brand will start building, and then the brand will be really good to the point that we have a lot of reviews, we have a lot of return customers, and when we launch another product, they're more likely to buy that one too. So it's just about building a brand, essentially. Okay. Mary, sorry I just came in, so how many units should we order to be safe? We just answered that, Mary, so a little bit late, but we personally are doing 1,000 to start. That's kind of our line. We've heard, one of our mentors actually told us to do 1,500, but 1,000 is where we kind of decided, okay, that's pretty safe. Once within the first week, no matter how many sales we make, the minute we start making sales, we know, okay, this is working. We're gonna probably order the next 1,000 most likely right away, if not more. It really comes down to budgeting in that case. How do you negotiate with supplier? That's a question from Reno. Let's come to negotiation skills. I mean, you start literally, you go to actually 1688.com. I don't know if you've actually seen it on our beginner list. Go to 1688.com and try to find the same item on there. Now you might have to use Google Translate to get the keyword of your item in Chinese, and then throw it in the search bar on the 1688. You'll try to find the same item. You need to know that the conversion rate is roughly, I believe it's in 1. So if you see 5-1, it's actually $1. So you need to, it's 5-1, I believe. So, or maybe 6-1 now. You might want to check on Google the conversion rate, but you will see roughly how much the item costs. And then you know that when you talk to your Alibaba supplier, you already have negotiation power, because now whenever they tell you, oh, it's gonna cost you $10, you're like, no, I saw it for $7 in 1688.
Exactly.
And that's when you kind of win negotiation right away.
And there's been people that I've told to go to 1688 and they ask, oh, is there an English version? If you can't read it, which most likely you probably won't be able to, just use your best friend Google Translate and use that, and you'll actually be able to translate that there so you know exactly what you're looking at and what you're talking about.
Okay, we're gonna answer a few more questions here because this is a long video now. But let's see here. Mary, is getting your friends to buy and review your products a good idea? So Mary, I know you came in late, so we did cover that just a moment ago, but just to quickly recap, you want to be careful about it, right? Don't just get all your friends to buy your product, you refund them, and then they get you a bunch of reviews. Just be smart about it. Pretend you're the Amazon person that watches your listing. Make sure they're not suspecting anything. That's the way I look at things.
Exactly. So if you're gonna do it slowly. Be really careful. Make sure you haven't shared Wi-Fi and you're not friends on Facebook.
Cool. Alrighty. So I believe this covers the launch strategy that we're planning to do. There are a couple other things that we're kind of like still working on and not sure if we're gonna start with right away. If we do, this list will be updated. In the meantime, guys, I do want to ask you that you do go on our Facebook. Make sure you like this video. Go on our YouTube if you haven't already. Subscribe, because you will see new videos coming up with more and more content on there. And ask questions on the video directly so we know which video you're talking about or what topic you have the most struggles on. We did post just the legal advices from one of the guys in the group. We posted viral launch guy helping us with product research. A lot of really great content that I believe will help a lot of you. So subscribe, like, share this video, and guys, we'll see you in the next live and the vlogs.